Hello, welcome to the Environmental Education and Outreach Mobile Classroom. I am Miss Cherie.
And I am Mr. Joseph.
We are water quality stewards.
We help to keep our community waterways clean and healthy. Are you a steward?
A steward is a person who helps to take care of something. If you help to take care of your brothers and sisters, the yard, your pets, or your home, then you are a steward. We are water quality stewards. We help to make sure that the waterways are clean and healthy in our community. You see, every day people are dumping trash and litter onto the ground and pouring substances onto the ground or the waterways that shouldn't belong there. And it is harming the places, the water where you're going fishing, swimming, and boating, and maybe even the places where you receive your drinking water, such as a reservoir or a well.
And that's why we would like to invite you to become water quality stewards in your community. Well, Ms. Cherie, why don't we get started?
Good idea. So let's talk first about what kinds of ways you use water every day. Maybe you've had something to drink today. Did you do that? And maybe you've had something to eat, like breakfast, lunch, or supper. Well, we need pure, clean water to drink and pure, clean water to grow our food. And then maybe you have washed your hands, your face, your hair, or maybe even your clothes. And then maybe you've given water to your pets today. And not only that, but we use water to use the bathroom every single day. These are just some of the ways that we use pure, clean water every day. And that's because our bodies are made mostly of water. Our bodies are made of about 70% water.
Wow. We're kind of squishy, aren't we, Ms. Cherie?
We sure are.
And you know, when I think about how much water we're made of, it makes me think about how much water we use. Each person is going to use about 100 gallons of water every day. Isn't
That's
that
a lot.
And just think, if every person with you today stacked up 100 gallons of water in the room where you are, you wouldn't even be able to meet in there.
That's right.
And then tomorrow, we'd have to start over and do it all over again.
That's a lot of water. When I think of how much water we're made of, it makes me think of our planet. Look at the surface of our planet. What do you see the most of there? That's right, we see water. Now, when we look at the surface, that is about 75% water just on the surface of our planet. But we also have water under the surface of our planet called groundwater. Now, groundwater is the kind of water you might be receiving if you have a well at home. If the well is pumping up the water from under the ground, it's coming from an aquifer. Aquifers are spaces under the ground that have natural sources of water in them. Now let's look at this. What kind of water can we actually drink? We know we can't drink ocean water. Why not?
It's too salty.
That's right, Mr. Joseph. It's too salty. So what kind of water would we actually drink? What do you think, Mr. Joseph?
I think we would drink fresh water. And we can find that kind of water in creeks, lakes, rivers, and even great big bodies of water like the Mississippi River. That, Ms. Cherie, you told me before that it drains 31 states and 2 provinces in Canada.
That's right. That is a lot of water.
That is a lot of water. But see, here's the real challenge. Of all the water we have on our planet, only 3% is drinkable. And 2% of that is stored in the polar ice caps, and we can't really get to it. So only about 1% of all the water we have in the world is drinkable.
Let's look at a picture that we can kind of imagine. Use your imaginations for a moment. And if we could imagine to pour all of the water in the world into a 1-gallon jug, that would represent the 75% of water that's on the surface of our planet. And then if we poured out 1 tablespoon of water, that 1 tablespoon of water would represent what we can actually drink.
That's a big difference, Ms.
That's
Cherie.
a big difference. And this is the challenge because water is actually a non-renewable natural resource. What does that mean? Well, let's look at a picture here for a moment. If we cut down a tree, can we plant another tree?
Yeah.
We can plant another tree. So a tree is a renewable natural resource. Renewable means we can plant another one. Natural means we find it out in nature. And a resource means it is something we use. Well, water is a non renewable natural resource because all of the water we have in the world is the same water we have had since the forming of the earth to
Hmm.
today. It's all the same water. So we're not going to have any more and we won't have any less. And
Well, students, that being the case, today you might be drinking water that dinosaurs drank.
yes,
Isn't that cool?
and that's because you're part of the water cycle. Now, sometimes we call the water cycle the hydrologic cycle. And you might be wondering, what are we talking about? Well, we're going to do a quick little review because we think you already know what we're talking about, okay? Because you're very smart. So let's think about how every day the sun heats the earth, water molecules become excited, they split apart and begin to rise in the form of a gas, and we call that process evaporation. And then when that water gets away from the warm earth into the cool atmosphere, it clumps together, and we call that process condensation. And then the heavy rain, snow, sleet, and hail begins to fall to the earth, and we call that process precipitation. And on and on and on, the water is moving through the water cycle and the watershed.
A watershed?
What is a watershed?
Well, Miss Cherie, when I first heard the word watershed, I thought it meant a little shed that had water in it.
Nope, that's not what it means.
That's not what it means?
No, that's not what it means. But we can think about it this way. A watershed is an area of land where all of the water sheds or drains because gravity's pulling it down, down from the high places down to the lowest place it can go.
Well, Miss Cherie, maybe we can think about it like this. Maybe this would be a little easier. If you have a dog or a cat and they're losing their fur is falling away from them, we say they are
shedding.
That's right. So in the same way, the water, the rain, snow, sleet, and hail is falling away from the high places, so it is shedding.
Down to the low places.
To the lowest place it can go.
That's right. And so when we say that the water is falling away or shedding from the high places to the low places, there's a good reason for that. Let's look at our planet for a moment. What shape is our planet? It's not exactly round. Our planet is more of a sphere. So let's make our hand like this and let's shape it into a kind of a sphere shape. And that'll help us to remember our planet is shaped in a sphere shape, in a spherical shape.
And Miss Cherie, when we look at our knuckles and our fingers, it reminds me that our world is bumpy.
It is bumpy.
Because it's really not flat. Even if we went out to like a football field or a soccer field, it's really not flat. There's rises and there's dips.
We have hills,
That's right.
mountains, valleys, low places. So when the rain falls on top of the high places, it is going to shed down, down, down. Gravity will pull it down, down, down to the lowest place it can go. So gravity is going to make that water shed, and that's the word we mean by pulling it down to the low place. So let's say that together. Can you use your finger as a raindrop, and we'll have our planet here, and let's say it together. Water sheds. Let's say that again. Water sheds. Let's say it one more time. You say it. Water
sheds.
Very good. Water sheds. So now, if you imagine, this is another way to think about it. If you're standing at a sink and you're washing your hands and the water falls along the high places, the edges of the top of the sink, that would be like outside of your school or your home. And you were having a rainy day. Where would that water go? Where do you think, Mr. Joseph?
I think it would go down the drain.
Right, because gravity is going to pull it down the drain. So that would be, the drain would be just like the storm drain or the ditch where you are located. So the water is going to shed down to the storm drain or the ditch first. And then from there, it is going to shed into a creek. And then from there into a river, and from a river all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. So here we see gravity. Now,
well, Miss Cherie, you said a school or your house, but
yes,
everywhere is a little watershed.
That's right.
Everyone lives in a watershed, and everywhere is a little watershed. At the library, at the park, at the church, shopping center, school, everywhere you go is a little watershed.
And all those little watersheds add up to bigger watersheds. And the watershed that we're going to imagine that we are in today, let's just for an example, let's use the Ross Barnett River watershed, Ross Barnett Reservoir watershed. Okay. Now, this is a very unique watershed. It is located in the city of Jackson in Mississippi, and it is a very big watershed. And right in the middle of that watershed, we have the Ross Barnett Reservoir. But something very interesting happens, and it happens here every time it rains, snows, sleet, or hails. Now, this example we're going to show today, Mr. Joseph and boys and girls, this is what's happening where you're located. So wherever you are, you're going to have similar things happen just like this every time you have rain, snow, sleet, or hail, okay? So let's look. First, when that water sheds into the storm drain, it is then going to shed from the storm drain or the ditch into a creek. So let's imagine that this water is shedding into Dancing Rabbit Creek, okay? So all of the rain, snow, sleet, and hail now is going to shed into the Pearl River. Do you see that? Good, okay. So now from the Pearl River, all of the rain, snow, sleet, and hail, and all of that water is shedding into the Ross Barnett Reservoir. And then right back out the other side. It comes out the other side. And then it sheds all the way down into the Mississippi Sound. Now that's where the beaches are down at the bottom of the state of Mississippi. And then all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico, beyond the Barrier Islands. And that's the watershed for really Jackson, Mississippi. That is the big watershed. Now, every day, again, over and over again, when it rains, snows, sleets, and hails, it is going to shed through that watershed. And boys and girls, all along the way, people are going to be dumping litter and trash onto the ground. And that is really dangerous because water is a very powerful force. It has properties like we call, well, much like we would say as a personality.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, I'm reminded by our little picture right here that water can stick to anything that it comes in contact with, like pollution or litter or anything like that. It can stick. It can pull things along with it. It can dissolve and break down things in it. And it can carry them on its surface.
Let's use your hands. Why don't you use your hands with us and we'll say it all together, okay?
Water can stick, pull, dissolve, and carry. Let's say that again. Water can stick, pull, dissolve, and carry.
Wait a minute, Mr. Joseph. Were you going to say that?
I was. What do we mean by dissolve?
What do we mean by dissolve?
Well, you know, Miss Cherie, if I have a cup of hot water and I take a teaspoon of sugar and I stir that sugar into that hot water, can I see that sugar anymore?
Nope.
But if I drink it, can I taste that sugar?
Yes, it'll be sweet water.
Well, that's because the little particles of sugar have broken down so teeny tiny that we can't see them. But remember, Miss Cherie, just because we can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. That's right. So let's do that one more time with the students.
Okay, ready?
Water can stick, pull, dissolve, and carry.
Very good. Oh, let's do something fun.
What did you want to do?
Something fun? Let's do something fun. You
Okay.
can participate with us, okay? We're going to make a thunderstorm with our hands and our laps. Would you like to do that? Very good. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a thunderstorm, and then we're going to see what happens in the Ross Barnett Reservoir watershed today if we had a great big rainy day, okay? But here, let's do this first. So you want to start us, Mr. Joseph?
I can.
You do a good job of this. Okay,
So
ready?
here we go, boys and girls. We're going to use our hands, we're going to use our fingers, we're going to use our laps to make all the different sounds of the thunderstorm. So let's start with our hands. We're going to make the sound of the wind. So let's rub our hands together, and you can hear the wind as it's starting to blow in through the trees. Can you hear it? And then let's snap. And if you can't snap, we can pretend, because pretending sometimes is just as fun as even if you can actually do it. But here comes the rain. Can you hear the rain coming? It's starting to come down on the roof. And then let's start patting our laps. Here comes the big rain and the thunder. Really loud as the big thunderstorm comes through. Let's go back to snapping our fingers again as the thunderstorm starts to move out and the rain starts to quiet down. And then here comes the wind as it's blowing through the trees and pushing the thunderstorm away. And then it gets quiet.
That was good. Let's give ourselves a big round of applause. Can you do that? That was fun. And if you did that with your class or your friends, it can get pretty loud, can't it? That's a lot of fun. Okay, so now...
Let's review real quick, Ms. Cherie.
Okay, that sounds good.
So everything we've talked about so far, the sun heats the earth, water molecules get excited, they split apart and begin to rise, and we call that process...
Evaporation.
Very good.
And then the water moves away from the warm earth into the cool atmosphere, and it clumps together, and we call that process condensation. Very good. And then the rain, snow, sleet, and hail falls to the ground because gravity is pulling it, and we call that process precipitation. Very good. And on and on and on, the water cycle is moving, and even into the watershed. And what did we do? We made a planet with our hands. This is our sphere. And here is our raindrop. And we said that water
sheds.
Very good. Let's say that together. Water sheds. Let's say it again. Water sheds. And as the water sheds, it is going to
stick, pull, dissolve, and carry.
Very good. Let's have a little fun. Let's see what's going to happen in the Ross Barnett or in your watershed, the Ross Barnett Reservoir watershed or your watershed today, because we have just had a great big rainy day. You did a good job of that. So let's see what would happen. What will we find in the watershed? Guess what I am? I'm going to be the water, and I'm going to have the pollution stick, pull, dissolve, and carry with me all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. So right now, I'm starting at the drain. Can you see that? It's the drain. So this is the storm drain right outside of your home or your school. And the rain, snow, sleet, and hail has fallen to the ground, and now it is shedding or draining down to the storm drain. So as it is shedding or draining down to the storm drain, I'm going to move along because I'm the water, and I'm going to stick, pull, dissolve, and carry to, what did we pick up off of the ground? Food. Well, boys and girls, quite often, other boys and girls have told us, when they're riding in the car with mom or dad or their family members, sometimes they'll roll down the window and throw some trash out of the window. Have you ever done that before? Well, today we're here to learn to know how to do it a better way. How do we manage our garbage better? Because when we do that, we can have a much prettier place to live and a much healthier place to live. So one of the things that boys and girls have told us that they throw out of the window is food. And they'll say, well, that's okay, Miss Cherie, because the animals will come eat it. Well, let's think about that for a minute. You are very smart, and let's use our brains, and let's think about what we're talking about here. If we throw food out on side of the highway in hopes that the animals will come eat it, what is going to happen to the animals? That's right, they could get hurt, or even worse, they could get killed. So that's not a good idea. And now we have French fries and hamburgers and chicken nuggets and drinks and all sorts of things shedding down to the places where you're going to go fishing and swimming. So that's not a good idea. So here's what I like to do. We travel a lot in my family to bring this program to students all over the state of Mississippi. And what we do is we take a shopping bag just like this one. I pop the handle, and you see the little knot that I made? I tie that onto the handle of my van inside of my car. And what I do is I take my litter and I throw it into that bag, and I keep collecting it as I travel. And I also have another one for the things that I recycle, like plastic bottles. And then when I get to the gas station or home, then I throw everything away in the trash can. And that's a way that you can do a small thing that will make a big difference to help as being a water quality steward in your community, okay? But today, someone threw this food out on the side of the road, and I am going to stick to it. And so I'm going to stick right there. Do you see the food stuck to me? It's going to stick with me, and I'm going to shed down from the drain to the, where am I going? That's right, the creek. So I'm going to shed down to the creek. And as I get down to the creek, what am I going to find there? Well, I'm going to find fluids. What kind of fluids do people put on the ground? Well, let's see. We have soda and drink, coffee, tea, and hot chocolate. People don't realize it, but they'll just open their door in a parking lot and pour their drink on the ground. But they don't realize that what happens is it goes to where you go fishing and swimming and boating and all those places. So what can we do? Can we do a better job with this? Yes, let's keep it inside of the car with us. And we could do something special with the container. What can we do with something here? Is there anything here we can recycle? Yes, we can. We could maybe recycle the cup. The straw, not so much, because right now in Mississippi, we don't really have a way to recycle straws. If you live in another state or another place, maybe they recycle straws there, but here in our state right now, not yet. But we do recycle plastic cups. And how would you know which ones you can recycle? Well, with any plastic container, you can turn it upside down, and there's a little triangle on the bottom of your plastic container. In that little triangle, you will see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. You'll see one of those numbers on the bottom. Well, if you have a 1, 2, or a 3, in Mississippi, in most counties, you can recycle that cup. And there are a lot of places that recycle plastics all the way up to a number 7. But the best thing to do is to check with your local county and find out if they recycle those numbers, okay? But today we can absolutely recycle this cup. But somebody didn't do that. What did they do? They threw it out of the window onto the ground. So I'm going to stick to this cup and this straw. Now, I have something here. Are we going to show the straw? Not yet. Not yet. We'll do that later. Okay, so more fluids. So I have car shampoo. Do you like to help wash the car at home? You do? Do you like to suds it up and spray it down? Well, that can be a lot of fun, but I want to tell you a way to keep it fun. Where is the best place to wash your car? If you said car wash, that is the number one answer. Good answer. The car wash is the best place because they actually recycle the water and clean the chemicals out and reuse that water. So it's a very efficient way. Now, the second place, where is the best place to wash your car? If you are at home. If you said on the grass, that is very good. That is the best place to wash your cars on the grass. Because when you wash your car on the grass, the plants, the soil, the rocks, trees, and roots, all of those things help to absorb the water and help it to slowly seep into the ground. And did you know that all of nature, all of those roots and plants help to actually filter out the chemicals that are in the water? It helps to break them down very small before they are released into the environment and actually helps to clean some of it up. So it is a much better way. Plus, it slows the water down so you don't have a lot of water rushing off with all of that soap. Now, where is the worst place we could wash our car? Well, that would be on the side, not the sidewalk, Mr. Joseph, on the cement the driveway, the carport, any place where you have a hard surface. If you do it in the street, that's not a good place because a hard surface like cement or blacktop will not let the water seep through. So the water is going to go very fast, right across the top, and it's going to take everything with it just as quickly as it can down to where you go fishing and swimming and boating. So we need to be good stewards. So where's the best place to wash your car? Yes, the car wash. And where is the best place to wash your car when you're at home? Yes, on the grass. Good job, steward. Let's now take this. Did somebody do the best thing with this? No. They poured all that soap on the ground and now it's in the watershed. And they might have thrown the bottle on the ground. But what can we do with this bottle? That's right, we can recycle it. What do? Flip it upside down. Look for the triangle and look at the number inside. And what are the numbers you look for? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Any of those numbers, right? And then you check with your county to make sure you can recycle that bottle. But today it's out on the side of the road, so I'm going to stick to it. So now I have something else stuck to me. So I'm going to take that into the watershed. And now I have these two items, and Mr. Joseph's going to talk to us about that. You want to come over here, Mr. Joseph, and tell us about these fluids? We have motor oil and antifreeze. Are these good? What if we had a car leaking? What if we had a car? Have you ever passed a parking lot and seen big black spots in the parking lot? Do you know what causes that? It's when your car is leaking. That means it's kind of broken and needs to be fixed a little bit. And did you know that 95% of everything that we pour on the ground or throw onto the ground is going to end up where you go fishing, swimming, boating, all of those places? Because remember, we talked about how powerful water is.
Mhm.
What can it do, Mr. Joseph?
It
It
can
can
stick,
pull,
dissolve,
dissolve, and
and
carry. And so we need to be good stewards. So 95%, is that a little bit? Nope, that's a lot,
It's a
isn't it?
lot.
It's most of. So we need to be good stewards and not pour that or throw that on the ground. Now, when you go by a parking lot and you see big black spots, this is what you're seeing. You're seeing motor oil and antifreeze and other kinds of car fluids. What can we do with these, Mr. Joseph?
Well, students, we can actually recycle our car fluids. For any of you who have, maybe you do it yourselves or your parents like to change the oil in their vehicles or change the other fluids in their vehicles, you can take the old fluid that comes out of your car, put it back into the bottle you just used, and take it to an automotive store. If you look on their window, they'll have a big sticker that tells you exactly what they will recycle at that automotive place, like an AutoZone or an O'Reilly's or something like that. Then you can take the bottle with that fluid inside, and usually they'll either take it for you or they'll pour it out, and they will recycle the fluid, the oil, or the antifreeze, and the bottle too.
That's right. So that would be a great way to be a good steward. Well, but today, somebody threw these out. Now, I wouldn't recycle these bottles myself. I wouldn't put them in the recycle bin.
Those need special recycling
That's
places.
right. That's right. And today, someone poured oil and antifreeze. Well, it dripped from their car. What would be a good way to be a good steward if your car is leaking? That's right, to get your car fixed. Good answer. So if you have a leaking car, you can tell your parents, hey, can we get it fixed? And getting it fixed would be great, not only for the environment, but for your car too. So today, not so much. Somebody put these out there. So I'm going to stick, pull, dissolve, and carry them into the watershed, okay? So now I have more. So now I am going to shed from the creek to the river. Do you see that I'm shedding down? See how the arrows move down? I am moving towards the Gulf. So I'm going to shed down to the lowest place I can go. And so now I am in the creek. Am I in the creek? Okay, so now I'm at the creek and I picked up a cigarette butt. Did you know that the filter of a cigarette butt can take 10 years to break down in the environment? That is a long time. And so, boys and girls, if you see someone throw out a cigarette on the ground and stomp it out, would you please ask them to pick it up and put it in the trash can? We don't want to recycle a cigarette butt, but a trash can would be a perfect place. And that's another good way to be a good steward. Now, some of the chemicals that are in this filter are very harmful to be in the water. And we need to be good stewards because it's not something that's going to dissolve and clean out easily.
They
okay?
actually, some of those chemicals, Miss Cherie, some of those never break down.
They never
just
break
stay
down.
and they build
just
up in the water.
Right. So we need to be good stewards and throw old cigarettes in the trash can. So let's stick to this cigarette butt. I've got this now with me, and I'm going to shed, I'm shedding towards the river, but I'm going to pick up something else.
You're going to pick up some metals, Miss Cherie.
I'm picking up metals. Oh my goodness. Have you ever thrown a soda can out? Boys and girls tell me, well, Miss Cherie, I threw it away. And I say, what do you mean away? They said, I threw it away from me. But boys and girls, what did we say? 95% of what we throw out or pour on the ground is going to go where you go fishing, swimming, and boating and playing. So what's going to happen? You get to revisit the things you've thrown out. It takes a very long time for some of these things to break down in the environment. In fact, a soda can take up to 200 years to break down in the environment.
That's a really long time.
Do you know anyone 200 years old?
No, not me.
I don't either. But you know what I was thinking, Mr. Joseph? I know that when I was a young girl or maybe a young lady, I'm sure that I have thrown out a long ago before I was a good steward, one of these, and I wonder if it's still out there somewhere.
It probably is.
It probably is. So can we recycle this, boys and girls? We sure can. We can recycle aluminum cans. We can. And lots of good things can be remade with it. But today, someone was not a good steward, so guess what we're going to do? What am I going to do? Yep, I'm going to stick, pull, dissolve, and carry in the watershed. And what other kinds of metals do we have? What is this? What does this look like? Cell phone? And what does this look like? A battery that goes in your cell phone? These are metal, plastic, glass, paper, and all kinds of chemicals inside. And boys and girls, you might be surprised, but there are lots of boys and girls that have told us that they get mad at their brothers and sisters, and they throw out their video games, their all kinds of things out of the window. I know, that's hard to believe, huh? Even cell phones. We need to be good stewards, and we can recycle our cell phones. Mr. Joseph, you want to tell about that?
We can actually recycle the cell phones and the batteries. And even you can recycle them separately too, but all kinds of places like Walmart sometimes will have a little booth. You can take it back to electronics stores like a Best Buy or maybe even Office Depot sometimes.
And where you get your phone.
Exactly. You can always take your cell phone back to wherever you bought your phone and they'll help you recycle it. Or electronic stores, video game stores, and some of the places where you can take your antifreeze or your motor oil. The car places will recycle batteries as well. You just have to look on the window for another big sticker that will tell you the kinds of batteries that they will recycle sometimes. And Ms. Cherie, it is really important that we recycle those batteries because in them, they have heavy metals. Now, these are metals like lead and mercury and cadmium that never break down, they never dissolve, they just build up in the local water area or the local area, and they make everything sick, the animals, the people, the plants, and everything. So it's really, really important that we not ever throw batteries out into the environment.
And we need to think that if we go fishing, what are our fish swimming in? And then if they're swimming in that and drinking it and eating from that.
And then we eat the fish.
Right. So we need to be good stewards. Now, boys and girls, not only that, but if you have other electronics, if you have laptops, video games, anything like that, even some kind of throwaway camera or something like that, all of those things can be recycled. And it's very important for you to do your job as a good steward. And that's a small thing you can do that will make a big difference.
It is.
Every little bit helps, okay? So, but today someone was not a good steward and we've got this in our watershed. So I'm going to stick to the battery and the cell phone. I'm going to pull it and dissolve it and carry it into the river. I'm shutting down. Where am I going? The river. So I'm shutting down. And as I shed into the river, I'm going to pick up
metals.
Metals. This is a chip bag, Mr. Joseph. Why is this metal?
Because it's plastic. That's right. Your chip bags, boys and girls, are actually metal and plastic put together. If you ever open the bag up and you see on the inside where it's shiny, that's actually metal. And
I've seen it shiny on the inside before. Have you seen that? Yes?
And you know, Ms. Cherie, because of that, we really don't know how to recycle that yet. It
They
takes
don't do that
a lot
yet.
of technology to be able to do like two things combined to be able to recycle that, and we don't really have that technology quite yet. So it's better to just put the chip bags in the trash. where
In
they
the
belong.
trash can, right. Okay, so somebody threw this out today, so I'm
Yep.
going to stick to it. Mr. Joseph, I'm starting to feel sick.
Yep, I bet you are.
I'm
You
feeling-
look heavy.
I
You're
feel
carrying
heavy.
metal. You're carrying people's food that's
And
probably
I
been in
clank.
their mouth.
I clank, Mr. Joseph. Do you hear all of this clanking?
It's all floating in the
It's
water.
floating in the water, just clanking around. Not very pretty either.
Well, Miss Cherie, I'm going to throw some plastic bottles in you.
Oh no, he threw me some plastic bottles. Could we recycle these? Yes, what do we do? That's right. What do we look for on the bottom? Triangle. And what numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very good. But they didn't recycle the bottle, so I've got to pick up a bottle. I'm losing space. Let me put it down here. Okay. Oh, that's getting pretty heavy, Mr.
It is.
Joseph. You see me floating? And it's getting heavy, okay? All right, what's next?
Well, somebody was drinking out of that plastic bottle with a straw.
Oh, boys and girls, did you know that in Mississippi, one of the #1 problematic pollutants is a straw, plastic drinking straws? These are the kinds that you get at a fast food place and you just throw them out. Well, they cause a lot of problems. They're all over the place. They get in the waterways. They hurt the animals. And right now in Mississippi, we don't really have a way to recycle straws. But if you can't recycle it, the best thing to do is to throw it away, okay?
Or, you know, Miss Cherie, the other thing we can do is we can use a reusable straw like these. Now, we got these. We went to our local Walmart and we picked up some of these hard plastic straws. And we recommend that you use the hard plastic ones, not the metal ones, because it's probably a little bit safer to use the plastic ones. But you can take those wherever you go and you have your own personal special straw that you can drink with.
Do you know that I have a cleaning brush for this, Mr. Joseph? It came as a kit.
That's right.
The cleaning brush came with it. So I actually stick the brush in there and I clean the straw out like that and I can use it again and again. That is a small thing you can do that will make a big difference. And you are being a good steward when you do that, okay?
And just think of how many straws you could save in a year
Yes.
if you used one of these instead of a disposable straw
Yeah.
every time you went to get fast food.
A lot. I even saw a retractable straw one time.
Ooh, that would
it
be fun.
collapses, little bitty, and you can put it in your pocketbook or whatever, or your wallet. Wouldn't that be neat? I know you like those kinds of things.
Well, you know,
Mr.
Miss Cherie,
Joseph.
unfortunately, you got that straw, but there's some more plastic that I need to throw in you first.
So I'm going to stick to this straw. I'm going to pull it. Let's do our hands. Stick, pull, dissolve, and carry right down into, I'm headed towards the Gulf. Okay.
And you know, Miss Cherie, this plastic is really kind of special because we saw this plastic and we went and took some pictures of this plastic. And you might see some of these pictures coming up on the screen right now with this plastic.
Not yet, because I want to surprise them.
Well, right.
Okay.
But, you know, boys and girls, Miss Cherie's not going to like this plastic because it's kind of gross. Because, you know, we went down to the beach on the Mississippi Sound, and we were looking
stepped out
for
onto
some litter.
the beach, and we were looking for litter, and we didn't walk very far, and this is what we found. A dirty diaper. Yes, a dirty diaper. How many times have you seen a dirty diaper on the side of the road? A lot, right? Yes, at the park, in a parking lot, even down on the beach. Guess where it went? Where you go fishing.
Ew.
Yes, it really did. It goes where you go fishing. Do you like this, boys and girls? Well, here is the good news. You can do a small thing that will make a big difference. And here's what it is. Don't litter, recycle. Let's do that again. Ready?
Don't litter, recycle.
Now let's hear you do it. Ready? Don't litter, recycle. Because really, this is kind of disgusting, okay? And it's awful. I mean, to think that we go fishing in this water and playing in this water, but the good news is we can change it together by being good water quality stewards. So now that I've emptied into the Gulf over here, how about we do something really fun? Let's do this. Let's get your help to help us to clean up the water and see what we can do with these items. Now, we are going to do a little review, and you're going to show yourself just how much you've learned today to be a good water quality steward. So let's look. We have a litter bin here, and we have our recycling bin here. So Mr. Joseph, will you help the students? We're going to clean up the water, and you get to decide which bin that item should go in from what you've learned today, okay? Either it's in the trash can, the litter bin, or in the recycling bin. Ready? Here we go. Ready? You want some, what do you want to get?
Let's start with the cigarette butt.
Okay, cigarette butt. Where
boys
should
and
it go?
girls.
Trash bin or recycle? Very good. In the litter bin. Yeah, we don't want to recycle that, do we? Okay, what do you want to get next?
What about a chip bag? Is this litter or recycle?
Right. It's combined products. It's plastic and metal. So we put it in the trash bin for now. Okay, what else do we have?
What about antifreeze? Is this litter or is this recycle?
Right. Good answer. It goes to the, right. We go to the automotive store and we recycle that. That's right.
And what about our car shampoo?
That's right. Flip it upside down, Mr. Joseph. And we look for the triangle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that means we can recycle. That's right. So it goes
Well, we
in
can
the
recycle the
bin.
bottle.
The bottle.
We might not want to recycle the soap
No.
so much because we probably use the soap, but we're going to recycle the bottle.
No, we're not going to try to go get that. Okay. So what else do we have?
So what about our cell phone and its battery?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Recycle bin, huh? Yes. And that's a great thing you can do. What else do we have?
Let's see. What about a plastic straw?
Good answer, in the trash bin until we can find a better way. Okay.
All right. How about some more plastic bottles?
That's right. We can recycle a plastic bottle. Good answer. Yep. Okay. What else?
A soda can.
I'm starting to feel better already. Okay. Right, a recycling bin. Good. And what else?
How about some more fluids, our motor oil and our drinks?
Oh, now you're complicating things.
Oh, am I?
Yeah. Where does the motor oil go? Right, that goes in the recycling bin. What about the drink? We can't get the drink back. We can't recycle the straw, but can we recycle the cup? Yeah, so the cup can go in the recycling bin. What else do we have?
Well, we've got some food.
Yeah, garbage, right, in the litter bin. What else do we have?
Miss Cherie, you know, I think we ought to take this one. We ought to put this one in the recycle bin.
Yeah, that was getting a little stinky up here. Okay, so, yeah, right. No, that goes in the garbage bin, in the litter bin. Okay.
Well, Miss Cherie, I think we cleaned you all up.
I'm feeling so much better. I can flow. I can flow. Whoops, I'm not going downhill. I can flow. Boys and girls, you did a great job today. I'm so proud of you. Now, what we need you to do is continue to do that small thing that will make a big difference. And what is it? Don't litter, recycle. Good job. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we hope to see you next time. Teachers and parents, we have some exciting news for you. Not only do we have 4 presentations for the Environmental Education and Outreach Mobile Classroom, we have our program for kindergartners through 2nd grade. This program travels to schools and events all throughout our state and is funded by the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality. This program is called the Rivertown Story, and it is a beautiful puppet theater that is fun and entertaining and musical, and teaches students about the value of being a water quality steward. And then we have our Mobile Classroom B, which is a PowerPoint presentation and an interactive water unit. Students can participate along with Ms. Cherie and Mr. Joseph as we travel through the watershed and learn the properties of water and why water is the most powerful force for spreading pollution. Students will actually learn about their watershed and learn ways very specifically that they can learn how to do a better job of being a good water quality steward in their community. And then we have our youth workshop, which combines Mobile Classroom B with hands-on activities. So this travels to your student's classroom, and we can have about 30 students in each class. And students will have lab equipment provided by us, and we'll get to play with water and experiment and actually build a watershed and see how water actually moves through the watershed. And then we have a teacher's workshop, and teachers can earn CEUs by attending our workshop. And quite often we combine that with other partners that we have throughout the state. So we do list those things in our e-newsletter, which you can sign up for as well by coming to our website and doing all of that. And then last but not least, we have our companion curriculum. So this is the Water Quality Steward Study Guide, and it aligns with the Mississippi Department of Education Science Framework for kindergartners all the way through 8th grade. And you can adapt a lot of these lesson plans, activities, games, quizzes, reviews, vocabulary. We have lots of fun things to explore. And not only that, but we provide free resources statewide and nationally as well. So students can go on and learn all sorts of things by connecting to other websites and actually work on the computer and advance in environmental education. So we just wanted to share some of these things with you. We hope that you'll use these resources. Our companion curriculum is absolutely free. You just go to our website, bayoutown.com, look in the left-hand column, click on the curriculum button, and when you get there, you'll have a couple of options. You can go to the curriculum and download individual pages for free or the entire curriculum. Or you can click onto the storybook. And the storybook is an excellent activity for young hands and young minds. You can print it off, let the students color the pictures as we tell the story of Rivertown, and then actually fold and assemble it into their own storybook. We hope that you will use our free resources, and we thank you very much for watching our programs, for sharing them, and we hope that you'll give us a call, and one day we'll be able to visit your students face to face. Thank you so much, and see you next time.